Hey everyone, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Ryan, and in today's video we're going to be designing a website inside of Wix Studio. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we are now in Wix Studio, and I found a design on UpLabs and for Figma that I figured we could just kind of design here in Wix Studio. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of get rid of all of these default elements here. And let's actually start by setting our editing size. I personally like editing on 1440 here in Wix Studio, but that may depend on what kind of screen size that you are working with. For me, 1440 is similar to what a lot of designs are in Figma. And on my screen, 1440 allows me to view the full canvas while still having the inspector panel open without it covering my canvas. But let's go ahead and start by designing our header. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the background to black. Then I want to add the logo, and for the logo I'm just going to use the Wix Fix logo. So we'll just add this here. Perfect. And let's resize it a little bit. I want to put it right about here. Let's do like 4% away from the side that it's docked on. And over on the right, I just want to have some text. So we'll go ahead and grab a text element right here. And I'm just going to use the Made For font by Wix. I actually really do like this font, so it kind of works out. But I'm just going to put in a fake number real quick. Let's align this to the left. We'll make the text white. And for this color, for the call us, I kind of want it to be like this green color. So what I'm going to do is actually set this color to this blue. But we're going to come over to the site themes right here. Go to colors, and we're going to change this action color from this blue to this new hex color right here. I think that looks really good. And we'll go ahead and set this right over here, and I kind of want it to match the spacing that we have here. So we made it 4% away, and we can check this by coming over to our position, checking the docking settings, and you can see it's set to 4.1. So we can just set it to 4. The next thing I want to do is have like a menu here in the middle that basically shows all of our pages. However, we did not create pages, so let's go over to our pages and we'll add a few. I'm going to add an about page. Let's add a services page. Then we'll add a projects page, just like this. Fantastic. Then we can come over to menu, and we'll drag this one out right here. In the design settings, we'll come over to menu items. We'll go to text, and we'll set this to white. Then on hover, we might want to change it to green. And then when it is the current page, we'll also just set it to white. Now let's press manage menu. We'll add items, make sure we add site pages. We'll add all and remove the home, because typically you link your logo to the home page, so you really don't need the home in the menu as well. But we're going to go ahead and place it right about here. And I also don't want them to be super big, so maybe instead of 16 pixels, let's see what 14 looks like. I think that looks pretty clean. Now let's go ahead and start working on the hero section. So the hero section needs to be pretty big. So what I'm going to do is make it about, let's do like 750 pixels. So I'm going to come over to height, type in 750. We're going to make the background color the same as the header. And now we can go ahead and start adding text. So over here on the left, we're going to want some text. So we'll go ahead and add this here. I do want it to be kind of in the same position as our text over here. But of course we want the text to be white. I'm literally just going to type in what the Figma design has. But I'm going to switch this over from bold to medium, and for this one I actually do want it to maybe be like a gray color. Then underneath that, let's add a heading 1, and we'll change this to IT Solutions, and we'll make this white, and we'll place it right underneath the text from above. Next thing we're going to add is just a simple little paragraph. We're going to change the color to gray, and I'm going to put it right about here. And now let's add a couple buttons. So we'll come over to buttons, And we'll add this one right here. Let's go ahead and change the design to green with black text. I also want the corners to be completely rounded, so I'm going to set the radius to 999. And I'm going to move this right here. Then let's copy and paste this button. We're going to move it right here. And we're going to change the text to more details. Then for this design, let's remove the background color. Let's add a 1 pixel border, but we'll make it this gray. Then we'll come down to text and set the text to be the same color as the gray. So when we resize the editor, everything should be fully responsive for us and it looks really clean already. But now what I want to do is grab both of these buttons and we're going to stack these together. And the cool thing about stacks here in Wix Studio is we can actually have horizontal stacks now. And we can easily just toggle in between which version we want as well. But with this stack selected, I'm going to grab the rest of these elements and we'll stack these. Now over here on the right, we're going to want to have an image. So I'm going to come over to Add, go to Media, and we'll open up our media library real quick. And let's grab the hero image. Now for this image, we maybe don't want it to be super big, but we're going to move it over here to the right. And I want to align it with this text up here. So we'll come over to docking, set it to 4, and then we will just center it, just like this. Now, if we want to, we can go ahead and expand this out a little bit, just like this. But I do want to add a little decorative element here. So I'm going to grab the star vector. I'm going to put it right here. Then we're going to copy and paste it, bring it a little bit lower. We don't want to attach it to the grids. Put it right here and move it over. But for this one, we'll make it a little bit bigger. And I think this looks really, really cool. Just like this. Fantastic. And actually, what I want to do is kind of bring this stack to the top of this image here. We can even make this image a little bit taller as well. We kind of do want it to fill this section a little bit more. So once again, we'll go ahead and center it. Make sure that it has a 4% dock. And then we'll grab this and bring it up to the same height as the image. Below that, we're going to want to have kind of like a additional information. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add a container. For this container, let's remove the background color. We're going to add a border and we're going to add like a, let's see what 24 rounded edge looks like. I think that looks good. Inside of this container, what I want to do is add some text. So I'm going to copy the heading 1 and we're going to say plus 129K. Now we don't need it to be this big, so we're going to change this to like a heading 4 and we'll go ahead and change it to white and we can bring this size down quite a bit more. Then I'm going to copy this paragraph, we'll paste it in the box and we'll change the text to say successful projects and we'll go ahead and move this right here. Now let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit. Then we'll bring this box over here to our desired size. And then what I want to do is kind of bring this right over here, but we're going to align it with the bottom of the image right over here. The next thing I want to do is copy and paste this. I want to bring this right here. Now for this box, I do want to expand it a little bit more. We're not going to need this text, but what we can do is bring this over here. Then I'm going to paste a little bit of lorem ipsum here in this text element here. Fantastic. And now I just want to add a very small image and we'll add this image to the page. Now, of course, we need to make it quite a bit smaller. We'll put it right about here. You can even expand it a little bit. And then for the corners, let's go ahead and add like a 12 pixel rounded edge. And I think this looks really good. But what I want to do is grab both of these. We can stack these together. Then I want to grab both of these text elements here. We'll stack these together. And last but not least, I'm going to grab both of these containers, stack these. And then finally, I'm going to grab both this stack and this stack, and we're going to press Add to Stack. And if we wanted to go even further, we could even grab the image and stack these together as well. But if we check the resizing, I think this looks pretty good on all screen sizes here. But let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the website. For this section, it's going to be talking about the brands that maybe this company works with. We'll go ahead and set a height of 800 pixels. And then of course, we'll come over here, we'll go to add, we'll grab a heading 6, we'll make it say brands, and then we'll switch this over to medium font, and we can even set this to a gray color. Now I'm a big fan of having all of your website elements kind of being aligned as if they're all in a grid together. So with all of the elements that we're designing, we're gonna always make sure that we have a 4% margin on the left. I think that just looks really cool. Underneath that, let's go ahead and add a heading 2. And I'm just going to paste in the text from the design. Underneath that, we're gonna have like a line. So we're gonna come over to add, decorative. We're gonna come down to this line right over here. We'll align it with the left of this text here, and we'll stretch it to match the width of this text element. And we'll go ahead and bring this in as well. Perfect. And actually with this line, I do want there to be a slight gap here because we're gonna come over here, grab this vector art. We're gonna paste it down here. We're gonna make this one very small. And we're gonna basically align it right here. So I'm gonna grab both of these, we'll place them in a container, and I think that looks really good. However, for this line, I do want to lower the opacity to like 50%. I do want it to be a little bit more faint. But what we're gonna do next is grab this paragraph text, we'll paste it right below the line, and then we'll grab this button and we'll paste this one right below. And we're gonna change the text to view more. So now let's go ahead and grab all of these elements and we'll stack these together. And actually for this, I want to resize this as well. That way the stack isn't super large. Over here for the right, we're just gonna have another image with different brands inside of it. It's basically just going to be a grid. And I actually just exported the entire grid. However, if this was like a client website, it might be cool to kind of add some sort of hover effects on the brands, but we're not going to be doing that in this video today. But once again, we're going to grab this image, make sure it has 4%. What I would want to do is kind of bring this up to maybe right about here. And we're going to grab this stack and we're going to center it. And we'll grab this stack, center it, and we'll just double check that both of these have a 4% margin on the left and right. And once again, we can test the responsiveness just to make sure everything is looking good. Now the next section is going to be kind of the About Us section for the website. This one is going to be kind of large, so I'm going to set the initial height to 1200 pixels because we are going to want a little bit of room to work with. Over here on the left, we're going to add a heading to text. Of course, we're going to align it to the left and add a 4% margin. And we're going to change the text to say about our company. I'm going to paste a paragraph here, and then I'm going to change the text real quick. I am going to expand this to where it's only 2 lines. And I'm going to basically center it with this text, with this heading text over here. And we'll bring it to be just the same size as the text itself. We'll align it to the right and we'll add a 4% margin on the right. Underneath that, we're going to have a line, so it's just easier to copy and paste, especially once you've already kind of created a design that you like. So I've already, changed the color and opacity of this line. So it just makes it easier to just copy and paste it since it's already the exact style that I want. And I'll go ahead and place this line underneath this text and basically make it the same width as both of these text elements together. Underneath that, we're going to have an image. So let's go ahead and go to our media. We're going to choose this one right here. We're going to place this one over here on the left. And now what I want to do is go ahead and add a container. Let's go to add, quick add a container. We don't need it to be this tall, but we want it to be a little bit wider. I'll place it right about here. Now for the design, let's remove the background. Inside of this, I want to have a vertical line. We'll go ahead and set the height to match the container. So for now it's 149. So we'll grab the line and just set this to 149. This is probably going to change here in just a few minutes, but for now let's go ahead and set the color to green and we'll send it to the left. Then what I want to do is go ahead and go to add text. We'll add like a heading 4. We'll place it right about here. And we can extend this if we want. For this, I want to kind of set the color to gray. And we'll go ahead and change the text. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and copy this paragraph. Once again, we will paste it and we're going to place it right underneath this heading text. We'll grab both of these, we'll stack them, and we can even send the stack to the top. And with this box, maybe even bring this up to the text. So this is only 102 pixels. So we're going to grab this line and we're going to set this height to 102 pixels. Now what I want to do is actually add a hover interaction to this. So what we're going to do is come over to interactions. We're going to say on hover. We're going to add an animation. Let's go ahead and create a custom one. And all I want to do with this is set the color to black for both the paragraph and the heading text. Then what I want to do is switch over to the initial state, and we're going to grab this line and we're going to set the opacity to 0. So now if we just go ahead and preview the website, when a user hovers over this little section here, it actually highlights this text, and I think it looks really clean. But now what we're going to do is actually duplicate this. We're going to drag it to be right underneath the other one, and we'll go ahead and change the text. Then we'll do it one more time. Once again, we will drag this one underneath, and we will change the text. The next thing I want to do is grab all 3 of these containers. We can stack them together. And for item spacing, let's go ahead and give us like 60 pixels, or oops, 60%, I meant 60 pixels. Now what I want to do is with this stack, I kind of want it to be centered with the image, so we'll go ahead and drag it down to right about here. And then we can grab the section and raise the height up to right about here. For this next section, what we're going to do is have a list of services. So for this section, I actually want to change it to black. So we'll go ahead and change this. We'll also set the height to be like 1200 once again, just to give us some room to work with. And what I want to do is actually grab both of these items right here. We're going to copy these and we can just paste them down below, and we'll just bring it over here to kind of like the top area. Now for this top text, we're going to change it to what we do. And then this bottom text, we'll change it to this and we'll set it to white. Over here on the right, we're going to have just a simple image. So let's go ahead and go to add, media, we'll press show more, and we'll grab this image and we'll kind of place it over here. Let's align it with the top of the text element. And of course, we will set the right percentage to 4. Underneath this area, we're going to want to have something similar to like this container here. So I'm going to grab this container, we'll copy it, and then we'll paste it down here. Now for this one, we won't need this paragraph text. So we're just going to go ahead and change this text to the service. And we'll also go ahead and change it from bold to medium. Then we'll grab this container and bring it up just like this. And with this container, we basically set the height to 44. So if we go into the layers panel and grab the line, we'll also need to remember to set this to 44 as well. But for now, let's go ahead and bring in the size of this text element or stack. Then what we can do is just move this right underneath this main text. And we'll go ahead and copy and paste this. Then we're going to grab all of these containers here. We'll stack these together. And similar to what we did before, we're going to come down to item spacing. And let's set this one to like 30 pixels. Then underneath that, let's go ahead and grab this view more button. Then we'll paste it. And I don't really want to align it with the text from the top. I actually want to align it with the text under services, and we'll just leave it as view more. And I think that looks really good. Now for this image, I do want to expand this a little bit so it matches, so it basically hits the bottom of this text. And we can even expand this out a little bit just like this. Fantastic. Now we can grab the section and bring it up. For the next section, I want it to be kind of like a blog. So what I want to do is set the background to black. Of course, let's give us some room to work with. And what I want to do is add a container. We're going to send it to the left, set the margins to 4%. Then we're going to expand it to where it basically matches the 4% that we set for the image above. We're going to expand this down quite a bit. For the design, what we're going to do is remove the background color. We're going to add a 1 pixel border, and for the corners we're going to set this to 24 pixels. I want to grab this little stack right here. I will place the text right about here. For this top text, I'm going to say latest blog post. Then this title text is basically going to be the title of the article. And we can of course add a little paragraph underneath it that's a little blog post description. And we'll come all the way up to the top. We'll grab this stack with both of these buttons. We'll copy this. Then inside this container, we'll paste it. Then we'll grab this and put it right about here. For this first button, we're going to say view latest. And then for this second button, we'll change this to more posts. Over here on the right, of course, we're going to just add a quick little image. Let's go ahead and align the height to the top and bottom of the content, and we can expand this out a little bit more. Of course, we can choose the focal point and change it to her face. For the design, let's go ahead and change the corners to be 12. And then we can raise this container height a little bit. And we'll make sure we center this just like that. Great. And now we can grab this container. We'll raise it up a little bit. Let's center it. Then we'll grab the section and we'll bring this up. Then we can grab this container and just center it inside of here. Now we're only going to be doing 2 more sections. One's going to be the call to action and the other is going to be basically the footer. So let's go ahead and build the next section. For this one, it's going to be the call to action. So what I want to do is actually make this one the bright green color. Then what I want to do is come over here. We'll grab the about our company text, and I'm going to change the text to have a project. We'll go ahead and align the text to the center, and then we'll center the text element. Then I'll copy this little paragraph element. We'll paste it. For this, I think this gray does not really fit well on this green color. So we'll go ahead and change this paragraph to black. We'll align the paragraph to the center, and then we'll center the text itself. And last but not least, we'll grab this button. We'll paste it here. Now obviously with this button, we don't want it to have a green background because the section also has a green background. So we'll go ahead and set this to white. And we'll change the text to get in touch. Then we'll grab all these elements, stack them together. And for this section, I only want it to be like 350 pixels in height. We don't need it to be super large. And then we'll just go ahead and center this element inside of it. Now let's go ahead and start working on the footer. So for the footer, let's go ahead and give us like 450 pixels of room to work with. We'll set the background to black. And if we go up to the very top, I'm going to want to grab our logo for the website. We'll copy it. Once again, we're going to paste it down below. And we'll put it right about here, but we'll make sure that the docking to the left is set to 4, just to match the rest of the website. We can grab a paragraph text and we'll paste it. Let's copy and paste it one more time, and we'll bring it down a little bit lower. And this one can be like the copyright notice. Then over here on the right, let's go ahead and add like a newsletter form. So we're going to come over to add. Let's go to contact forms. We can create a new form, or we can choose one of these from the existing lineup here. And I'm going to actually use this one right here. I think this one actually looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and align it, the top of it, with the logo. Perfect. Then we'll set the margins to 4 on the right hand side. Then we'll go ahead and expand this out a little bit more. Underneath this text right here, I might actually go ahead and copy and paste this. Let's align it with the bottom of the subscribe form. And then for this text up here, maybe this can be like helpful links or your privacy policy. And we'll go ahead and just add a line there as well. So I'm going to come over to where we had our line right here. I'll bring it down here and paste it. We'll put it right here. Then we'll grab this text and bring it down. And there you have it. This is going to be the fake WixFix IT Solutions website. So let's go ahead and just play around with the responsiveness and just kind of make sure everything looks good on all screen sizes. I think the call to action and stuff looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and go up to the very top. We already checked the hero section. I think we already checked this one as well. This one looks really good. For the about section, let's check this one. So I'm going to have this one selected and we can go ahead and resize it. I think that one looks really good as well. Let's grab the what we do or the services section. Let's see what the responsiveness looks like here. Again, I think that looks clean. And last but not least, we'll grab the blog section and we'll check this. Fantastic. Now let's go over to the tablet breakpoint and let's kind of see how it looks. I will say this looks pretty good here on tablet. I think this looks good here on tablet. This one does as well. But what I will say is maybe we could bring this in to like 30 pixels here. So let's actually go ahead and with this stack, we'll set these to 30. We'll also do the same thing over here. So this one's currently set to 30, so let's go ahead and do 15. And I think the rest looks pretty good. Maybe for tablet here in the footer, we might want to change this design. So for this, maybe we could center these. And let's go ahead and stack these together. And we'll go ahead and place that just like this. And for some reason, the line did not get added, so we'll go ahead and put it in there manually. Then we'll grab this stack and we'll just set like a 8 pixel spacing. Then with this paragraph text, let's go ahead and center it and we'll send it to the middle. We'll also do the same thing for the logo. And then for the subscribe, let's go ahead and make it really large. We'll put it underneath this text. We will need to expand the height quite a bit more, so let's maybe set this to 900 pixels. Then we'll grab this stack and we'll put it right underneath, and then we can grab the footer and bring it up to right about here. So this basically should make this section look good on both tablet and mobile. Let's head on over to mobile. For this, I feel like we don't really need to have the menu here, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is right click and say hide. And for the header, we don't need it to be this big. Typically, we only want it to be like 60 pixels in height. I do want to make the logo a bit bigger. We'll grab this and we'll set the font size to be like 13, just like this. And I'm going to move it over because right next to it is the hamburger menu. So I do want it to be a white color. I think that looks really good for the header. Now for this section right here, what I'm going to do is actually like go ahead and zoom in because editing on mobile is kind of hard to see everything that's going on. But if we zoom in, it should make it a little bit easier. But what I want to do is go ahead and give us some room to work with. And I'm going to kind of position this stack up here. And then I'm going to place the image underneath it. And we can have this stretch the full width. And we can adjust the focal point. And now let's go ahead and edit this section right here. So with this stack, we're going to want to expand it out like this. For this text right here, we might want to, we're not going to want text really smaller than 13 pixels, especially on like a mobile device. And then for these buttons, we're going to want to raise these up quite a bit more as well. So I'm going to set the width to be like 40 pixels in height and 120 across. I think that might be a little bit too big here, or at least it looks big, even though it's not. Well, let's go ahead and apply that to this button here as well. So 120 and 40. And then the font size is going to be 13. For the space in between these buttons, we're going to need to add a little bit more. Once again, let's go ahead and bring this down more. And for these, we're going to need to raise these up as well. So let's grab this container here and we'll make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to set the same width as the button above, but maybe we'll double the size of the height. For this text, let's do like 22. And then for this text, we'll do 13. And we'll just kind of stretch these out. And I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and set the height for this to be 80. And then we'll also kind of give us some more room to work with here. We'll set the font size to 13. And then for this image, we're going to want to expand this. And what I will say with these containers, let's go ahead and round the edges. So I want these to be still about like 20, not 24, let's do 12. And then we'll just kind of position it to look a little bit better. And then let's also grab this stack and bring it down. And also let's give us a little bit more space between the buttons. And we'll also do the same thing here. And then let's grab this image, we'll bring it down. We can even make it a little bit taller if we wanted to. Then for the corners, let's go ahead and round them as well. And now we are done with this section. All right, for this section right here, we're gonna basically do something very similar. So what we're gonna do is basically bring this section down. And it would have been a little bit easier if I was using grids, I'll be honest, but I kind of just wanted to play around with the automatic responsiveness without needing grids. I thought it'd be kind of fun. But what we're gonna do is just kind of resize this to maybe about this size. And then we're just basically gonna follow these same exact steps that we've basically been doing with the rest of the website, where we set the paragraph text to 13 pixels. The font size for heading text can be like 22. And then we just need to grab the stack and basically extend it. And then with this button, once again, we'll set the width to 120, the height to 40, and the text to 13. And then we'll just add a little bit of margin below this text element here. Then we can grab this image, stretch it out, and bring it down. Then we're going to grab this section, expand it a little bit more, place this image where we want it, and then we'll bring up this element here. Perfect. But while we're here, let's just go ahead and grab this section and let's see if we go all the way up to desktop, and I actually set it to 100%. I do want to kind of test out the responsive AI. So let's go ahead and grab this section and we'll go ahead and say generate now. Okay, and after about like 30 seconds, we're able to kind of check the design. I like how when you use responsive AI, it basically enters into preview mode for you. So you can kind of test out the design a little bit more on all breakpoints. And so far, I actually really like the way this looks. I think this did a really good job. I will say it's kind of funny that like on hover these shrink. So that would need to be fixed. But I will say it did a lot of the grunt work for you. And I will say it's even more impressive that I didn't even set up this website in the most proper way either. I didn't even use grids or anything like that. So the editor really didn't have any way of fully knowing how things are sectioned. It just kind of assumed it for you, and it did a really, really good job. Again, I will say we would have to like fix the hover state here, but overall, I think it did a really, really good job. But if you like the design, you could just go ahead and press apply. And it's just as easy as that. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and just do that for all sections here. So I'm gonna come over to desktop, I'm gonna grab the next section, and just press responsive AI. And I will say, you kind of see it here, but it's basically automatically applying the grid for us on the website. So that's actually really interesting. I didn't know it did that actually. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's see how it did it on this section right here. So on desktop, it looks good. On tablet, once again, it looks basically the same. And then on mobile, this is what it looks like. What I will say again is I'd probably have to fix the spacing here a little bit and the hover states as well. But overall, I think this did a fantastic job once again. So I'm just going to go ahead and press apply, and we can easily just go in and edit it whenever we want, especially here like on this. We don't need all of this margin, and we just need to do that for all of them. And then for the container, we could easily just come over to the hover animation, edit the animation, and make sure we're on the right one, and just set the text color to the green. So we would just basically need to do that for each one of these down below. But to save time on this video that's already going to be kind of long, let's go ahead and just do responsive AI one last time for this last section for the blog. All right, so let's go ahead and check it out once more. We'll resize it to the mobile breakpoint. Honestly, this isn't bad. Once again, this is pretty simple fixes, so I can just go ahead and press apply. Easily just bring this text in a little bit. For this image, we could easily just add like 20 pixels of spacing or margin on the left and right. We can do the same thing for the text elements and just kind of like resize them just like this. And overall, I think this looks fantastic. Of course, we would need to do that for both this section and the footer. But overall, I think the website is looking good. Of course, there's a lot of tweaking and stuff that I would need to do. But again, this video is starting to get a little bit long. But that's basically going to wrap it up for today's video. If you all did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more Wix Studio content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I will see you all in the next one.